All right, Nick, let's talk about the Texas Longhorns here. I think the Longhorns have been on an upward trajectory ever since the hiring of head coach Steve Sarkisian. I think that this team has been making market improvements every single season since he has been there. And I think we have a story today talking about how I think, but I'm not the only one who thinks that Texas, this is going to be a big year for them. And I think this is what you would say is their so called breakout season.
Yeah, Miles, I'm sure Longhorns fans are really excited and really hoping that Sarkisian and company and all the big time recruits and transfers he's brought into the fold will finally get Texas back to where they should be, along with the rest of the NCAA Blue Bloods competing for college playoff appearances and potentially national titles. And that brings me, as we look to the future, to take a step to the past. And that's what today's question is for Longhorns fans in the comment section below. Give me your favorite Texas Longhorn of all time. And this is a hard question to ask because there's so many great ones. This is one of the more storied programs in all of college football history. But that's why I want to ask you guys to give me your favorite Longhorn, the guy you loved watching more than anyone who ever wore Texas jerseys. Let us know who that guy is in the comment section below. But all right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest out of Austin?
Yeah, Nick. So I mentioned that they've made market improvements every year. So let's go back all the way to the first year of Sarkisian's career. I would say it didn't go very well. I think they started out 5-7, missed a bowl game for the first time since the Charlie Strong era. The second year, much better. They challenged for the Big 12 title. They went 8-5 that year, and they ended with a top 5 recruiting class. I think that's a big one. And now recently, Nick, Sarkisian for year 3 has gone on to Ryan Clark's podcast with Fred Taylor and Channing Crowder, the Pivot podcast, to talk about this upcoming season and what he thinks about it. And I'm going to read from the article right here, Nick. And it says, "This looks like my team," Sarkisian said. "It's year 3. It feels and looks like my team. The way the players talk, the way they act, what they look like, the way they move, the way they run, how we're practicing, the speed, the tempo, all of those things. I'm like, man, okay, now we're about ready to go. This is what it is supposed to look like." And to be fair, Sarkisian has reason to be excited. He has an elite quarterback in terms of raw talent and Quinn Ewers, and obviously you have Arch Manning on the roster as well. He's arguably one of the most talented group of pass catchers in the country and a young offensive line that has tons of potential, Nick. And he is a defense that took a huge leap in year 2 as well. So Texas looks really primed this season because Sarkisian finally has all of his guys in tow, and they look like this is the year where they go get that Big 12 title and potentially make a college football playoff run, Nick. What do you think about Texas so far?
Yeah, I'm going to lead off with Sarkisian's comments. I like it because I think he's recognizing that this is his career at Texas, right? If they have a disappointing season, he's done and he knows it, right? Because they have Arch Manning, anyone who, obviously Manning came in. He's probably the biggest name recruit since, Eli Manning a couple of decades ago at this point. So when you have a guy like that, if it looks like the program is heading in the wrong direction, you better believe the Texas athletic department with all the boosters and all the money will make whatever changes necessary to make sure they keep Arch Manning and all the recruits associated with Arch Manning into the fold and keeping all that in Austin where they think he needs to be, obviously. Now, with that mindset that Sarkisian understands, hey, listen, this is my make or break year. I love the fact he's very open about it at the end of spring ball, right? Because at this point, he's already seen how his guys have played, right? Because at this point, if he would have said it before spring ball, it'd been like, okay, he's just, being honest and direct, which I appreciate it. But the fact that he's done it at the end of spring ball, and as we're recording this, the Longhorns are actually playing their spring game, makes me think, okay, he looked at his guys, he looked at his team, he looked at his players, and, he actually believes it. Because if he, went through all spring ball, it's like, man, it's going to be a rough year. I guarantee you everything he would be doing publicly would be to manage expectations. He'd be saying like, we're making strides, but, we're still a year or two away, or we got a lot of young guys, we got a lot of inexperience or things like that. He'd be kind of, setting the groundwork for a potentially disappointing season. So that way, if it did happen, he wouldn't be fired. No, he's taking the exact opposite, which to me means he actually believes it. So one, he's being honest, which is great. I really appreciate that from head coach. And number two, he actually really does like what he sees in spring ball so far, because if he didn't, he would do everything he could to manage the expectations so that we wouldn't get axed if they did have a rough season. So from that perspective, I really like Sarkisian's comments in the direction of Texas too.
Yeah, Nick, and I think that's exactly what you said. That he picked the timing of everything, the timing of when he said what's going on really does add some extra meaning, because that's exactly right. If they did suck in spring ball, like you look at Florida's spring ball game, it kind of was not very good. You see a year like that where they lose guys like Anthony Richardson, a lot of other top contenders, and you have a bad spring ball performance. Uh, he's going to be like, well, yeah, exactly. We've got a lot of guys coming in. They got to get used to the system, but we're looking good. We're not quite there yet. But no, he's saying this is it. Everyone is moving. We're practicing good. The tempo's good. He's basically giving himself no room for any kind of mistakes. He's saying this is it. This is who I've wanted to coach. The team looks like my team. He's claiming it. These are my guys. This is my team. This is how I want everything to go. So if they don't do good, that is his career here at Texas, Nick, because like you said, they're going to want Arch Manning to be with somebody who is putting the program in the so-called right direction. They're not going to let Sarkisian to come into his third year and do not very well again. So I do like the confidence in his comments. I like what the team looks like. I truly do. I think they have a lot of good talent on this team. And I'm hoping for this season that they can come out here with a bang. And before they even make this switch over to the SEC, kind of leave the Big 12 on a high note, being like, we are one of the top contenders in the Big 12, and we deserve to move over to the SEC because we can really compete with the big dogs.